What's going on? I'm Spencer Burnett. This is Beating Business Burnout, and I am a recovering burnout addict. Much like you, I'm an entrepreneur, business owner. I've started multiple six-figure and seven-figure businesses, and I've run myself to the point of losing businesses and losing friendships and losing almost my life through just not being able to manage all the responsibilities and all the stress that comes through building a business, building a successful business. And what I want to share with you today is my story on how I continue to be a procrastinating, overcommitted, people-pleasing multitasker who never burns out. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and your business is successful, you're getting close to that seven-figure mark, or you're at that seven-figure mark and you're aiming towards that $3, $5, even $10 million a year mark, there needs to be some fundamental changes on the way that you operate in order for you to get to that next level. Because every level of entrepreneurship requires a different version of you. And if you continue to behave like a solopreneur or someone that is managing just a team of a few people, it doesn't scale. And so in this training, I'm gonna show you how I took all of these attributes and flipped them upside down on their heads to become an efficiency machine that's built for scale. Now, this is for the entrepreneurial misfits, right? And as entrepreneurs, we typically are misfits. We tend to be some type of high-functioning procrastinator where you do things last minute. They get done, but it's always a fire drill, and you're stressing out yourself and you're stressing out your team. Or maybe you prepare for a launch and you make your six figures, maybe even $1 million in the launch, only to find yourself needing to take a month or two to recover afterwards. Or maybe you're the type of entrepreneur who is just the obsessed self-help junkie. Well, I'm going to tell you this. At some point in your business, you cannot knowledge your way to the next level. It has to do with management and operations and the way that you interact with people. Because once you've got your offer down, once you've got your sales down, once you've got your marketing down, the thing that's holding you back is actually the way that you're managing your organization. And the way that you're managing your organization is a direct reflection of how you manage yourself. And so throughout my career, I noticed myself having just living the same day over and over again. So I basically would be staying up late at night, burning the midnight oil, only to find myself going to bed completely exhausted. And then I would promise myself that I would wake up in the morning and I would wake up early to get the rest of my tasks done. But I would just end up going to bed and not getting good sleep and being anxious. And then I would set my alarm for 7 a.m., 6 a.m., 5 a.m., only to find myself repeatedly hitting the snooze button. So I'd get up, still feeling anxious, and then I'd open up my computer with 2 screens, 50 tabs, and just a pile of things to do. And I'd sit down knowing that there are a million things to do, but feeling nothing but overwhelmed when I wanted to be focused on what it is that I needed to accomplish to run my organization, to continue to scale. But I'd find myself opening up this application and opening up that application and looking at my phone and looking at my iPad and looking at this screen and that screen. And it basically just felt like this distraction pinball. And so once I would settle myself down and be like, all right, Spence, what do you need to do? Basically just a fog of confusion would come over me. And then I would be, I'd get an idea, or I'd remember that I have to do something. And so I would have this endless pile of sticky notes that were just all over the place. Or, I would have a whiteboard, or I would have a notebook, or I would have a spreadsheet open, or, Google Docs. And essentially I had this scattered, endless to-do list, and basically things would get done, but it would get done at the last minute. And then I would be putting this stress onto my team, and when deadlines would come, it would basically just end in a panic. I never felt like there was enough time, and then the stress and the irritation would leak all throughout my company. And although we were making money, we were being successful, we were serving our clients, it was nothing but just a big ball of stress. And sometimes I'd wonder, like, shit, like, is this even worth it? Like, why am I doing this? Like, I built this machine for freedom, but I feel like I'm in a prison of my own creation. I realized in speaking with my clients and my friends that all of us were living in this burnout. And there seemed to be this ceiling where you get, it's somewhere between like $500,000 and $2 million a year where it just becomes too much, right? And typically I would see people in their businesses either sell out, or they would take a break, or they would just like burn their business to the ground because they had just had too much. And ultimately, it would come down to just like the shame of having to apologize to your clients, to your team, to your friends and family that you weren't able to follow through, or you were too tired to do the thing, or sorry, I just couldn't get it done, and asking for an extension. And the thing is like, if you continue to break promises to yourself and to your team and your clients, and things continue to slip through the cracks, things are only going to get busier. And so if this is already happening here, imagine when your business is twice as big or 3 times as big. And if you keep breaking these promises, then how do you expect to level up your business? How do you expect to scale? Because the difference between growth and scale, there is a difference between growth and scale. They are two very different things. Growth typically requires harder work, better people, but scale is very different. And so a lot of times you think, well, I need better organization, or I need to delegate better, or I need to just cut back on the commitments that I make. And that's actually not the problem. A lot of times when you're in the position of a business that's ready to scale, that has grown to the point where it's ready to scale, right? You think that you need an operator, or you need a new project management system, or you need to cut certain things. Well, that isn't necessarily what it is, because at its heart, the problem is that you don't trust yourself to follow through with what you've committed to. And that ultimately is what it is. How do we scale self-trust? Because that is, in fact, what you're scaling in your business. And so what I'm going to show you here today is I'm going to show you how you can continue to be a procrastinating, overcommitted, people-pleasing multitasker who never burns out and is able to scale their business. Now, once you make these changes, and once you stop demonizing these behaviors, because I thought that too. I thought that I needed to stop procrastinating. I needed to stop people pleasing. I needed to stop all of these behaviors that I deemed to be negative, right? But that's not true. Once you make these adjustments that I'm going to be showing you today, then you're going to be able to wake up every single day, know exactly what you need to do to get everything done. You're going to be able to optimize your efforts so you can work a normal work day and still meet the deadlines and the milestones. Like, I get it. Like, working 80 hours a week, there are some weeks that I enjoy working 80 hours a week, but I don't like to be forced to do it, and especially on a consistent basis. It's so nice to be able to work 35 hours a week and still get everything done and still allow your business to scale. And once you make these changes, you're going to be able to do that. Next, you're going to be able to commit to realistic deadlines and be certain that you are going to follow through with them on time. I was the kid in school. It was terrible. It was so terrible. Not only was I dyslexic, but I had all of those other problems of procrastinating and everything like that. I never met any type of deadline. And now for the past 18 months, I have not missed a single project. I have not missed a single financial deadline. I have not missed a single thing over the past year and a half because I made these adjustments. And legitimately, there will be no reason for you to be hyper stressed out to the point where you feel that you need to take a break. You'll be able to do the most powerful thing that really in the world, and especially for an entrepreneur, is the ability to turn your thoughts into results while keeping your business moving forward, keeping your team happy, and keeping your clients happy as well. And then finally, you're gonna be able to make wise investments in masterminds and in coaching and in systems and in infrastructure, knowing that you can implement that because you've got the tools and the process in your business to implement. So if you are in the coaching industry or really any industry, the infrastructure of your business is no longer in the brick and mortar. It's no longer in the fancy lights and the coat of paint. It is in education. But the problem, and I see it so often, that the problem is that people waste their money in coaching programs, in masterminds, in building systems, in new hires. And it's not the mastermind, the coaching program, the book that you read, the retreat that you went to, that's not the problem. The problem is your ability to execute on the things that are expected of you in those programs to help you scale. But once you learn how to execute with precision, everything will absolutely change. And so it really comes down to your relationship with time. When you change your relationship to time and task, you're going to be able to turn your ideas into a result in less time. And that's the end all be all when it comes to scaling the business. If you can take your thought and turn it into a result in a matter of a month, and then figure out how to be able to do that same thing in a week, and then be able to scale that across every team member in your business, then success is merely just a moment. It's merely a matter of time. That's what it is. All right, so I've been an entrepreneur for 21 years, and I started in the fitness industry, and then I was a dating, a sex, and relationship coach for a good 8 years. And throughout that time, I really was into building systems and in building mindsets, modalities. Precise language is one of those. And if you have not heard of precise language before, I want to highly suggest that you go to our Facebook group. And it's spencerburnett.com/brainjam. There's some awesome trainings in there. And also, I've built an entire community where I support people in building the systems, the infrastructure, the culture to effectively run your business. So go check that out. But anyways, so once I retired from the dating and relationship space, about 2 years ago, I started a new business in coaching entrepreneurs in their mindset. And so I did all the right things. I hired myself an operator. I joined a $60,000 mastermind. I got a JV partner, and everything started to roll. It was 4 months in, and I had not made any more progress than I would have made if I was just by myself. And I was thinking, what is going on? Like, I'm supposed to be building this scaled business, and I did the things that I'm told to do, and it's not happening. And so I went to the my operator, and I was like, where are all of the funnels and the websites and the email campaigns and all of this stuff? Like, where are these projects at? And he couldn't tell me. And I was like, well, I mean, you charged me an extra $2,000 this month than was budgeted, and can you give me a receipt? Like, what did you do? What did you spend your time on? And he tried to show me, but I felt like I needed a PhD to understand his workflow system or his project management system in Asana. And ultimately, he could not tell me what he did. And I was furious. I'm like, how can you not tell me what you were spending your time on? Well, what were you doing all day? And so I was like, all right, I am done with this. I am going to create a system that makes execution really clear and makes it transparent and it makes it binary. And so once I built that system, I had a revelation of the way that business is scale properly. And it comes down to having a system, a way of behaving, not just a way of organizing. So there's a difference between project management and workflow. Project management is just the structural management of it, and workflow is how it gets done. And it needs to be simple, it needs to be trackable, and it needs to be repeatable. That way, when you hire people, they don't have to be experts in operations. They just need to be experts in what they do. And so when it is simple and trackable and repeatable, then you have efficiency, you have scalability, you have profitability, all with way less work. And so I decided to, once I built this, I rewired my association with these attributes that I thought was the problem. And it wasn't the problem. And so I rewired my association to the attributes of procrastination and people-pleasing and multitasking that I was demonizing myself for years. Instead of removing them, I just changed the way that I looked at them. And so when I showed this to a few of my clients, the changes were almost immediate, and they were absolutely like life-changing. So one of our clients, Fabiola, we were in a mastermind, and I think there were like 60 people on the call, and they were doing shout outs. And this is what she had said to me. She said, after being an entrepreneur for 30 years, for the first time ever, like she has a life. Because like she already knew how to like sell, and she already knew how to market. She had a great product. But it's like, how do you continue to grow and still have time to go out with your friends, go out with your family, have time to yourself, and not feel guilty about it, and not have everything, crumble? And so when she did this, like it changed her life forever. She no longer, like, we often want businesses for freedom, but we end up just creating ourselves a job. And a job that's way more demanding than a 9-to-5. It's not a 9-to-5. It's a 7-to-7 that it ends up being. And so if this is something, not only did she take these things that I'm about to show you, but she also implemented the level up system, where I show you like all the templates and all of the trainings on how to operate your business, how to hire properly, how to manage everything in a way that's super, super efficient. And so I've got all different types of levels of the level up system, depending on where you're at in your business. So if you want to see which one is best for you, you can go to spencerburnett.com/apply and answer a few short questions, and we'll tell you which one of our programs is best for wherever you're at in your business, because we want to give you the most simplistic, efficient thing that we can give you in order to help you get to the next level. And then once you get there, then you can go on to whatever's next for you, all the way to having me come in and rebuild the entire inside of your company, source and hire an operator for you. And if you're an 8-figure business, like, definitely go in there and apply, and we can do some amazing things with you. With Brad was the CEO of Tribe of Buyers for a while, and this was actually a mastermind that I signed up with. And these are the guys that I paid $60,000 and I think over $100,000 over time with, and so their business was growing really quickly. And Brad then started taking my programs and started applying what I'm going to show you here today, and it was life-changing. It not only changed his business and his output and his income, but it also changed the integrity to his relationships, his family. It made him a better salesperson, and he went from like one of the least productive people that in scatterbrained ADHD, attributes all over the place, to being an operational machine just by making these shifts. And Avery, who was on the same team, like, when we applied this to their entire team, they were able to have meetings and actually implement everything that they discussed. Because a lot of times meetings are just like conversations of people talking about their feelings, and nothing actually fucking gets done. And so it's all by changing these things. So let's see. All right. Looks like my computer got a little bit excited and a little ahead of me. All right, so before I show you this, here's what I want you to do. I want you to remove all of the distractions from your space. This is actually part of the training. Your attention is the way that all information gets filtered and how all execution starts. It starts with your attention. And something that's worth learning deserves your undivided attention. And so distractions kill productivity. It kills focus. And so you want to make sure that you do everything you can to create a clean environment for you to be focused. So the first step is go into your computer, quit all of the applications that you are not using right now. So clearly the browser that you're using to watch this, like keep that open, but everything else, turn it off, okay? Next, go into your browser and close all of the tabs. Most people have at least 4 tabs. Some people have like 30 or 40 open at one time. Close them all down. Turn on the do not disturb. Like don't receive notifications, dings, and pop-ups and red tags. Close it out. Get yourself focused. And then finally, get your phone, because I know it's next to you. I know it's next to you. And turn it off. Like anything that's worth your attention deserves like all of it. And if this is something that if you can't turn off your phone right now, you're expecting a call or something like that, then you know what? Like press pause and go and you can go and do something. You can go and do whatever it is that you got to do. Or if you're like, hey, I know that. Where's my thing here? If you're like, hey, I already know that this is something that I struggle with and I don't need to hear the rest of it, then just go to spencerburnett.com/apply and see what offer is best for you. See what program, which way that we can help you out the best. All right. Once you've done that, now let's start with procrastination, the biggest one. Procrastination simply is like reacting to your stress by putting off a task in the future. And so when you're procrastinating, let's say it's a Friday, and you've really got to get something done. It's got to be done. And so you're like, okay, I'm going to do this at 3. That's when you got it planned. And 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock comes up, and now all of a sudden you realize like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get this done. This procrastination cycle of like feeling the pressure, creeping on you as the deadline is coming up, is something that it was really weird. I felt like I was addicted to it. And I couldn't figure out like why. Why am I doing this to myself? Because I'm stressed out that this thing is not getting done, and that I'm only doing things to perpetuate it not getting done. But for some reason, when I say, all right, well, I'll wake up early Monday morning and I'll do it, I feel better. How is that possible? Problem, I am stressed because this thing's not done. Action, I put it off till tomorrow. It's still not done. Result, I feel better. Something did not add up. And I thought about this for years because I suffered from the disease of procrastination my entire life. School was a nightmare for me because I did this. Any type of deadline. And what I realized is that the stress was not coming from it not getting done. The stress was coming from the belief that it wasn't going to get done. Difference. And so when I felt like, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, the belief that it's going to get done starts to drop. I don't feel like it's real, like it's really going to happen. And so then I put it into the future, and all of a sudden, because there's more time, I have more belief. Oh, of course. So I realized that it was the confidence that I had that it will be done in the future that made me feel better. So I was like, well, I either have to like do everything when it needs to be done, or I need to change my relationship to what procrastination means. And so what I did was, instead of reacting to my stress of putting the task off in the future. I then put the task off in the future so I don't have to react to the stress in the present. Essentially, all that procrastinating is reactive planning. Preemptive planning is responsible. It's what healthy companies and healthy individuals do. And so I realized I feel better when I put something into the future with a specific date and time and a hard commitment that I'm going to get it done. Well, why don't I just do that before I feel the stress, and then I feel better and I never feel stressed? It's really that simple. So I now am a proactive procrastinator. And that's why your calendar is the most important tool to getting shit done. Your calendar is not a place to hold your appointments. Your calendar is not just a place to keep the times where you're going to have your meetings. Your calendar is a ledger. It's a ledger like a checkbook. Okay, what it tracks is where you put your attention over time. And so when things aren't getting done, you then can reflect on that ledger to see where you're putting your attention over time to be able to make adjustments to have proper execution. Don't allow the simplicity of this to take away from the massive impact that it will have on your life. Absolutely the biggest impact. And no matter whether I'm working with someone who's just starting out or someone who is doing $1 million a month that wants to get to 2, 3, 5 million a month, I start all in the same place. Show me your calendar. Show me your calendar, and I will be able to see where you're putting your most precious, resource, which is your attention. So my calendar used to look like this. It was, just like a Mod Podge clusterfuck of just appointments that had like some type of meaning. So like if you take a look, I've got breakfast up here at 7 to 8 a.m. Wasn't really doing that. Okay, my team meeting and then my daily review. And it's so funny. It's like during my team meeting, I had my daily review. Like, how are you supposed to be doing 2 things at one time? And then let's see here. Then I've got like my evening routine, which that was more of a suggestion or something I intended to do. I didn't necessarily do it. And then you see that I've got a client session and lunch on Tuesdays. Like, am I eating while I'm doing? So this calendar was just like more of like a suggestion of things. And then there's some appointments in there that I adhered to. But it was very loose. Okay. And so finally I was like, you know what? I don't want to live in this, in this world where I'm like breaking my promises all the time. So then my calendar just kind of looked like this. It was just appointments only. And so from 8 a.m. on Monday from 8 a.m. to 10:45, what was I doing? Whatever I felt. If I was in the groove, I would do it. The thing is like when you wait until that you're in the groove or that's the way you work, it's like, well, when I'm in flow, I do things. Then great, but then you are at the mercy of your emotions in order to get things done, and that doesn't scale. And so then I made adjustments to my calendar, the way that I did things, and it started to look like this. And the important thing was that the commitment that I had was to always be in integrity of my calendar. And so you can see on Monday, that's where I do my action planning at 10 a.m. every single week. That is where I do my proactive procrastinating, and that is where I would schedule, so I'd never had to have any stress of last minute things. And you also can see this is something on my calendar that not a lot of people think is a big deal, but I do. Is if you notice, I don't plan anything on the half hour. Everything's on the hour, so I know that when my attention is to shift, it happens at the top of the hour. So I'm never looking at my watch, right here where some things are at 11:45, some things are at 8:30. No, when you do it this way, it's at the top of the hour. Your attention shifts to the next thing, and it's just that easy. And so getting your calendar into a flow and where you are living by it, you are in integrity of it, similar to your budget, like your books, your QuickBooks Zero, whatever you use. That is a ledger that manages where you put the resource of your money. And the more in integrity of that you can do, the more people will invest in you, the more people will trust you, the more you can better understand your business. Well, money comes and goes, but time, on Tuesday the 25th, there's only one Tuesday the 25th of that month and year. And so tracking it the way that you track your money will make you an efficiency machine. And so when you do your action planning, it's a three-step process. It's really simple. So so you basically call in the pressure of procrastination. You do that on Mondays at 10 a.m. I'm in Central Time. So, but first thing on Mondays, this is what you do, and then you put whatever needs to get done into the future, whatever's on your task list, whatever's in your project management system. And if you don't have a project management system, I will show you at the end of this. I'll show you at the end of this program, a project management system that is super simple. Also, you can always go to our Facebook group, spencerburnett.com/brainjam. I show you all different types of strategies for managing your projects. And again, like if you want like something like full-blownsies and you want like a whole system for you, which is the best thing that you can invest in, and I'll share stories with that, some other time, then just click to apply and see what's best for you. And then you go back and you audit. This is there you go. You go back and you audit. So you look at the beginning of each week, you look at the previous week and you make sure it's accurate. So for instance, if this focus session that you were supposed to do on Wednesday was only an hour, readjust it. Just like you do with your financial books, is you audit it and you make sure that it's accurate to what actually happened. You've got your budget and then you have your actual like expenses and income. All right, next is overcommitment. And essentially overcommitment is making more promises than you can keep. And we do this because we want people to like us. We want to be performers. We want to bring value. We want to serve our clients and serve our people. But the problem with that is that there's only 24 hours in the day. And as you become more successful, your time and attention becomes more in demand. And so like when you first start out, it's like take every opportunity that you can get. But then when you get to that next level, it's about opportunity management and not what opportunities can I take, but what opportunities are going to move the business forward the most in order for you to reach that next level. So the problem is not that you are committing to too many things, there's two different elements of overcommitting to things. There is overcommitment to from a wide standpoint where you're committing to too many activities. And then there's overcommitment where like there's one commitment, but you are just relentless to that. And that's the overcommitment that you want. So it's not like say no to everybody. No, say yes, but say yes to the right things and just be stubborn to executing on those things. So it's really simple. Every day, one task. And in that task is going to be the most impactful activity that you can do to move your business forward. And you need to be unreasonable. Like there's no way that you're going to miss this. And execute that task every single day. And you need to treat it like an appointment with your best friend or your romantic partner or with your childhood hero, like not gonna miss it. That's where the over part of the overcommitment is. Overcommit deeper, not wider. So making that adjustment. I want you to imagine, think of the really impactful things that need to be done in your business and think of those 5 things. Then I want you to think about that over the next 3 months. Okay, so one thing every day over the course of 3 months is around 75 actions or tasks, right? Imagine those to be guaranteed to be completed. What does your business look like? And now, if you've got a team of 3, 4, 5, now times it by 5, and everybody's living this way. So the thing is like your whole day can go to shit, right? Like as it does so often, right? But those things are immovable. So even if everything falls apart and you only do that one thing, your business is still guaranteed to move over. So don't stop making more promises than you can keep and start making less promises with that 100% commitment. And I remember when I was doing this, when someone was writing for me, they said 110% commitment. Okay, let me tell you something about people who give 110%. People who give 110% are freaking liars, because by the definition of 100%, there can't be 110%. So when they say, I'm giving you 110%, I start to wonder, what were you giving me then when you said 100%? Liar, precision. I'm just fucking with you. No, but I'm not. Still, 100% commitment. And like, be precise to that. All right, next is people pleasing. And people pleasing is essentially just changing your behaviors to be accepted by everybody, because who doesn't like being loved? We all do. And at the end of the day, I learned this from one of my mentors, David Mailer. When it comes to like fear or imposter syndrome or any type of like resistance or negativity, when you deduce it down to its core fear, it really comes down to the core of like, I will not be loved. And this is where the people pleasing comes in. And especially if you're like an empath, which a lot of entrepreneurs are, like, yeah, like you want to make everybody happy. But try to make everybody happy, you end up making nobody happy, especially yourself. And you are the most important asset to your organization. Even at scale, you are the most important asset to your organization. And you need to make sure that you are pleasing yourself and you're making yourself better by people pleasing. And so here's how it's done wrong, and then I'll show you how to do it right. So typical examples of people pleasing: taking last minute meetings. I have been there for sure. Committing to something that you don't have time for because you just don't want to let someone down. Sure, you've been there too. Responding to internet trolls. I don't really do that one. Like, fuck them. But it happens, right? And then going above and beyond what you committed to just so people will like you. Okay? So instead of doing these things for everybody, I want you to change your association to what actually people pleasing is, because or how it works and how it can benefit you. And so I want you to, instead of changing the behaviors to be accepted by everybody, change your behaviors to emulate the people that you admire. I'm still a huge people pleaser, big time, but I'm very, very selective to who I'm trying to please. So I've got like a group of, maybe 8 individuals that I seek their approval. I seek their validation. Now, it's not the foundation for my self-worth. I tell myself that I'm awesome every day. I determine my own self-worth. But for my growth, I choose people that I respect, that have results and behaviors and characteristics and attributes that I admire. And I get into relationship with them. And then when you are in relationship with people that have different lifestyles and different belief systems and values, you tend to become like each other. And so essentially what this is like masterminds and communities and mentorship. And so to be pleasing those people that you admire, it makes you a better person and doesn't spread you too thin. Kind of the same thing as the overcommitment. Like, we tend to just go too wide. But understand, width is good when you are trying to get started, because you're trying to get traction somewhere. But when you're already successful, like, you have to leave that mindset behind and adopt a new one of depth. And this goes for all phases of growth, like even from being a toddler to a child. Like, you no longer shit in your pants. You now like shit on the toilet. Like and that was acceptable before, and it was great. You didn't have to wipe your own ass. It was just fine. And you didn't get in trouble for it. But now it's like, hey, you're growing up. You're going to have some more responsibilities. You're going to need to do chores. You're going to be going to friends' houses where those friends aren't going to be wiping your ass. And this happens through all evolutions, where you need to remove the old way of doing things and see not a better way, but the appropriate way for the next level. And so as you get more successful, that team of people should be getting like smaller. It's smaller and smaller. So be a people pleaser, but just choose the right people. Next is multitasking. Oh, multitasking. So interesting. Multitasking, I think my mom worked for United, and I think she got an award for like being a fantastic multitasker. I'm sorry, it's 1,000,000 degrees here. I'm in Costa Rica, and they're doing construction, so my AC doesn't work. So that's why I might be sweating over here. I digress. So multitasking is not a skill. Like all that multitasking really is multitasking for anxious tweakers to make them feel like they're actually being productive. But the reality is that you only have a singular attention. Okay? So what you can pay attention to with your attention is singular. Okay? So you can only pay attention to one thing at a time. All that multitasking is attention shifting quickly. And so there is an energetic cost to attention shifting. When you are focused on one thing and then you need to be focused on another thing, your energy has to take a 90-degree turn, and you lose momentum. Just like if you're driving in a car, like if you're going 100 miles an hour and you need to make a 90-degree turn, you have to slow the car down or you're going to tip and roll the car. And so you lose momentum, and then you're constantly spending the energy to re-accelerate your focus. But when it comes to your intentions, okay, well, here's a fun fact. When you shift your attention from one thing, when you're in deep work and you're in deep focus, it takes 20 minutes to get back into that flow once you take that phone call or you take that call from a client or you go to check your email or you start doom scrolling on the internet. Yeah, it takes 20 minutes. That's a lot of time. 20 minutes every day of the work week, ends up being about, what is that? 2 hours? Yeah, about 2 hours a week. 2 hours a week is 100 hours, which essentially is like 2 full weeks of work, just shifting your attention, just like once or twice a day. So this adds up. And so when it comes to your awareness, you can be aware of multiple things at the same time. But when it comes to your attention, you can only pay attention to one thing at a time. So when it comes to multitasking, paying attention to multiple things, change your multitasking to your awareness and not your attention. And you only need to be aware of 3 things at any given time. Okay? So that is your integrity. Okay? So your integrity is the focus, and the 3 things that make up your integrity, that make integrity work, is that your intentions, what you want to do, your commitments, what you say you're going to do, and your actions, what you actually do, are all the same thing. This is the only thing that I measure myself by and that I measure my team by. It is the primary KPI. It is the primary measurement of whether you're doing well. Did your intentions and your commitments and your actions all match up? Because if they do, that is when you are in flow. And so whenever, and this is what the calendar allows you to do, is like you have an intention, you have a thought, you make a commitment, it goes into your calendar, and then that time comes, and then you take action. And then you do a reflection when you do your action planning every week and say, were my intentions, commitments, and actions equal? If not, well, now we need to figure out why. But when it comes to scaling a company, we don't focus on this stuff. We just focus on expectation. Get it done. Well, a lot of things happen between get it done and it being done. And this is what I'm sharing with you today. But the thing is, you can't expect your team to be executing with precision and be executing with integrity, their intentions, their commitments, their actions all being the same thing, unless you are. Because I will tell you this, people don't listen. They don't. They emulate. And so if you want them to execute with precision and transparency and scalability, you got to do this yourself. So when you're living in integrity, there's literally nothing that can stop you other than your strategy and time. You got a solid strategy, great offer, and the great strategy for sales and for marketing. Then all you need to do is set your intention to execute that strategy, make commitments of when you are going to execute that strategy, then actually execute the strategy. It's foolproof. Only thing left is time. And to condense that time, well, is a better strategy or more team members, which will get you at better scale. After that, it then becomes about systems. So that's why I'm sharing this with you first before I share with you like all the systems and stuff like that, because only when you have integrity can you expect your team to have integrity. And once they have integrity, then growth is about strategy. And then after growth comes scale, and that is where I help you out in the Level Up program. And once again, you can go to Level Up or spencerburnett.com/apply and see like what systems I can help you with. Everything from like $100 to like $500,000, depending on where you're at. But all of it will help you build these systems, which will allow you to track the integrity. So when I was in my deep burnout, this is what would happen. I would push my body until it completely gave out. And I remember when I was in the fitness industry, I struggled with an autoimmune disease that I had for a really long time. And it got to the point where like every time I did a launch, open up a location, or I wrote a book, or I opened up a charity organization, or I did a bunch of shit, I would just push and push and push until like it triggered my autoimmune disease, and it would put me in the hospital more times than I can count. And it there were a number of times where it like I got close to dying, and it would then set me back. I mean, shit, like sometimes like 6 weeks, even more, and I would lose all the momentum, and I had a good team. I had like a good systems and organization, but like I was behaving like this. And I felt at some point like I had to make a choice between being an entrepreneur and being alive. And I needed to do something. And when everything changed for me is when I realized that the autoimmune disease was not a foe. It wasn't an enemy. It was actually a guide that would tell me when I needed to slow down. So I'd start feeling like swollen glands and headaches, and I'd be like, oh shit, it's coming. I'd push through, when in fact that was just a tap on the shoulder of my consciousness to be like, hey, like easy. Like you gotta go take a look at the calendar. Go make some time for yourself. Make some time to go walk outside. Make some time to do things that serve you. And so I before was desensitizing myself to burning out, because I would just push and push and push, and just like I'll stop when it kills me. And then I was like, well, hold up. What if I listen to the whispers of the monster that makes me sick instead of reacting to the screams of being in the hospital? And now I'm sensitized to notice those burnout signals earlier. And I listen to those whispers instead of reacting to the screams. And in the past 8 years, after being physically tortured over 200 times every 4 to 6 weeks for the first 30 years of my life, I have not been sick once. This shit literally saved my life. And now I'm less stressed. I have a scalable business that is growing every single quarter. I moved to paradise in Costa Rica, right on the beach, and I'm able to enjoy my life because it's not just about the money. It's about living, and you don't have to choose between the two. You can have all the things, but it's like, are you managing your attention? Because that's really what all this comes down to, like your relationship to your attention over time. The procrastinating, the calendar, that's about your attention. Tracking your attention through the tool that is the calendar. The overcommitment, scattered attention. Make it more focused, make it more committed. The people pleasing, same thing. Scattered attention, singular. Bring it in. Multitasking, again, it's all about managing your attention because that's the thing that makes everything grow. And so through all of this, I created a brand new culture. I basically, every project manager, every person that was like certified and went to school, I told them all to go kick rocks. I'm like, you're doing business the old way. And like, I ain't doing that shit. And I built something new. I built new systems. I built a new culture for my company. And that is now what I help other companies implement into their systems and organization. And that culture had a few key principles. One, your calendar is the boss. If it's on there, do it. And if it feels like a prison, change it. You get to control the calendar. Like, it's not do what I say. It's do what you say. You get to create it, but follow through with your word. Follow through with your commitment. Be accountable to the most critical tasks. And so we've got a system in Level Up where you get a notification 10 minutes before your task, your most critical task for the day is you're supposed to do it. You get a notification saying like, hey, you need to do this, just to be held accountable. Next is investing in masterminds, in leadership training, and with other entrepreneurs who share the same values. That share the same values, but have something that your organization doesn't, so you can learn to assume the systems and the values and the culture that company has. And if we're not doing this, then we're not growing. Like, you need, on one end you need to innovate, and then on another end you need to emulate. Next is we attune our minds to be sensitive to the burnout monsters. We actually, in my organization, we hold each other accountable. Like, hey, I think you're going too hard, and so like we're not obsessed about more output. We're obsessed about not burning out. And if it's between personal burnout and output, we realize that we cut back the effort to reduce the burnout. But then think of like, how can we do this a better way? And next is like, success is measured by your integrity. At the end of the day, are you who you say you are? And when you're surrounded with yourself with people and you build a culture and a system that can track integrity and measure integrity in a transparent way, it cuts out all of the political bullshit in your business, all the talking, all the blame games, all of that stuff. And it makes it clear as to what is good. That simple. Your intentions, your commitments, your actions, all being the same thing. And so that was the new culture. Calendar run shit, be accountable, like grow through investing and learning from other people that have elements that you need for the next level of your business. Be relentless in that follow through of those critical things. Sensitize yourself to the burnout monsters and measure your integrity. That's what I created. That's what this level up system is. And so, once again, I'll drop you the link here. But if you want to see how this can apply to your business, and again, like I said, I work with everything from people who are just starting out to people who are doing $1 million or $2 million a month. And essentially, it's you need the proper mindset and values and vision and accountability. You need proper planning of like what you need to do, and then how does it get executed. And yeah, this is the workflow is a huge missing piece to especially organizations that are trying to scale. You can get away with organization if you're doing like $250,000, $500,000. After a year, after that, like no, you need workflow and not just organization. And then community. Like having people around you, being able to bounce ideas off of people, having someone that's built something that you want to emulate that's ahead of you so they can leave a trail and the templates and the trainings in order for you to build and scale your business. And so once again, if you want to talk to somebody in our organization, just go to spencerburnett.com/apply. If you're in a position to where like all you need is like our workflow workshop, and I'll share that with you in a second, then you don't need to talk to anybody. But if you want to join our mastermind, or if you want to be one of our enterprise clients that we do a major major optimizations for companies to take you from that $500,000 a month to $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a month, then go to apply. Just answer the short questions about your business, and in the meantime, like seriously, come to our Facebook group, spencerburnett.com/brainjam. In there, every single week at 6:30 Central Standard Time. Is it 6:30 Central? Yeah, 6:30 Central Standard Time. Costa Rica's weird. It's Central Time, but daylight savings. It's whatever. But every Thursday, we do live brain jams where we bring in different experts, where I do new trainings, and all the new shit that I'm innovating, I bring it into this community. And essentially, it's the community that I talk about, of like, genius entrepreneurs sharing everything that they know. So it's like you get to learn from others, but you're also encouraged to think for yourself, like a true resource center. So after that, what I'm going to give you is the free training. Now, if you're part of the Level Up system, and that's where you're watching this, you can just find that. It is one of the trainings. You just go down the steps. If not, you can go ahead and click down here somewhere, and you will see the action planning training. And this is where I show you the exact steps that I go through, that my team goes through, that my clients go through every single Monday to make sure that nothing ever slips through the cracks. It is the most powerful training on getting shit done that you will ever watch. It's huge. And then if you want to take it to the next level, you can watch the workflow workshop. So you'll see if you're in the Level Up system, it'll be down below. If you're watching this on just a landing delivery page, then you'll see that button below as well. The workflow workshop is where I show you the engine, the operational engine that runs the entire machine. And this thing took me over 200 focused hours to create, and you will be able to install and implement it literally in 2 clicks. And so it's probably the most powerful workshop that I've created. That is why that I've made it at a beautiful, easy price point for people to get it who are just beginning. But again, even if you are a company that's doing 100K, 250K a month, this is still the core of building out that system. And so no matter where you're at, this is like one of the best trainings ever. So moving forward, here's the thing. I don't want this to be a training where you're just like, oh, pretty good concepts, because information alone is worthless. means nothing. What matters is the combination, the cocktail, the recipe of education and implementation. So the only thing holding you back from beating burnout, scaling your business, like having fun and enjoying your life and making more money while doing it is implementation. Implementation of what I showed you here, the workflow workshop, and the things that we have in the level up system. So much love, stay well, be in flow. I'm out.